You're listening to U Radio. Let your voice be heard. My name is Ryan Funk. You're on U Talk, a program dedicated to diversity, highlighting native-born and new Canadians' cultures and experiences. Manitoba has a flourishing Filipino community, and a region that has seen significant growth in that community is the Pembina Valley, a rural region south of Winnipeg. Jewel Morales-White is part of the Morden Filipino community and is a licensed veterinarian. Although her license wasn't recognized when she first moved, she was dedicated to continuing practicing here in Canada.
So I was born and raised in the Philippines. I moved to Canada on September 2007. I am a licensed veterinarian in the Philippines, but I moved here to work in a hog barn. And so now I'm a practicing veterinarian in Canada. So I did all these examinations and the state boards, and now I am a licensed veterinarian in North America, not just Manitoba. So that's my background. I work with pigs. I'm a hog veterinarian working for a corporation. So culture-wise, like the Philippines, the culture of the Philippines are made of like Filipino traditions blended with Spanish, Catholic traditions with influences from North America and some of the Southeast Asian countries. So it's basically we are a combination of East and Western cultures. I guess that will be a summary of what Filipino cultures are. Yeah, we're overly we are family-oriented, religious, with great appreciation of art, fashion, music, and food for sure. But yeah, so that's how our culture is in a nutshell. Yeah.
So my girlfriend is also Filipino. Her mom moved here a number of years ago, and for Christmas they put up this star. What is that?
Yeah, the star is called parole, and there are gazillion different ways of using or decorating it. Different materials. You can make it as simple as just a stick in a paper, or you can make it super extravagant and use like capiz shells, which is like a seashell, common in the Philippines. And really, it's basically because Filipinos, I would say, 80-90% Catholics because of the Spanish colonization for over 300 years, and the Spanish colonizers introduced Catholicism to the Philippines. And so, being Catholics, the star symbolizes the birth of Jesus Christ. So it's very common to see that in, doesn't matter if it's a small house or a big house or people in different walks of life. If it's Christmas season, they would figure out a way to put a star as a decoration for Christmas. Because for us, it's like, okay, this is Christmas, right? Like we have a star in our house. I actually have that too, so I brought some from the Philippines here. So
well, it looks really nice and a lot of color, and it's super exciting.
Yeah. Some have lights on it. Some are just plain. So it's very open to whatever you have, you can make, and yeah.
So what made you want to become a veterinarian, and what has kind of the veterinarian experience been like separately from the Philippines to here?
It's very different. So I grew up in a province in, I would say 120 kilometers south of Manila called Batangas. And being in a province, I was living a rural life. My mom was, she's a government employee, but we also have pigs in our backyard to supplement our income and to help send at school. So I learned very early that pigs are very good to have when it comes to extra income. They're very prolific. One pig can have like 20 piglets. So I was helping my mom raise the pigs when I was growing up, among other things that we do in our own little farm. So when I was choosing which career I would like to do, I decided I want to be a veterinarian. Because I always see animals wherever I go, and I know that if I do decide to go somewhere else in different part of the world, I can always practice my profession if I pass all the necessary requirements. So I decided, I have a passion for animals. I have passion for pigs. I think that they are very efficient and prolific, and they could feed the whole world. So, and I'm very passionate about food security. So I decided to choose being a veterinarian specifically for uh, we call ourselves swine practitioners. So I'm specifically a veterinarian for pigs, although I could look after other animals, but my career is specifically as a pig vet.
Oh, that's super interesting. I don't think I've heard about a veterinarian that focuses on pigs. What made you decide to move to Canada? And when you first moved there, did you find it difficult to build a community?
Um, I moved to Canada just for, I guess like everybody else. I wanted something new. I was kind of young back then, and I figured, maybe I could try it somewhere else and provide for my family better. My yeah, my parents are aging, and so I figured I should go just to give it a shot. I wasn't like, super into it, like applying, I was just, oh, there's an
Hmm.
opening for one company, they're hiring people to work in a pig barn, maybe I can do that. If it's God's will, I'll do it. So then here I am, 13 years later. So I was like, okay, well, we'll do it. I'll see how it goes. I moved to my first assignment, I guess, was in Steinbach, and I was impressed that for me, like Canada is like very first world, very fast paced. But because I was sent to Steinbach, it's a rural community. It's like, oh, um, everybody here was just like little Philippines, like there's a lot of Christians, which I'm thankful for, and family oriented, and it's a slow pace of lifestyle, not like going to Toronto or whatever. So I was like, okay, that's good. So I like that, and then I was able to adjust quite quickly because there's already an established Filipino group in Steinbach. So that's good. But then a few months later, I moved to Morden, and I was only one of the five, maybe. There were very, very few of us here when I moved here. I didn't know anyone. To be honest, I have no place to stay. I was about to start my job already south of Winkler, and I had no place to stay. And I sent a little ad in Pembina Valley online, and someone reached out to me. He said, "Hey, my parents' house are available until the pipeline is coming. If you want it, you can stay there." And I was like, quite skeptical. It was like, "Who are you?" I was like, and plus it's a guy. I was like, "Should I trust him?" But I was like, a leap of faith, just do it. So, because I have no place to stay, I have my little Honda car packed with all my stuff. So it's like, okay, fine. I took it, and it turns out they're a very good Christian family. They were the first family I met when I moved to Morden. They're locals. But yeah, I was just thankful that he offered his parents' house for a few months, and sure enough, after I was settled here around May of 2008, 2 months later, I found a house in Winkler. So it was a divine providence, I guess. It was a good help for me because I was about to start my job in 5 days and I still have no place to stay. But yeah, and then as I moved in here, like go to Superstore, I met another Filipino, and then we kind of like connected, and then we realized, oh, you know what? There's a lot of Filipinos spread out in like Carmel, Lower Maltona, and in surrounding area. I was like, why don't we all gather them and meet them? So December of that year, we had our own first Christmas party for all the Filipinos, not just Morden and Winkler, but just the surrounding areas, because it was quite small. The community was very small in Morden and Winkler and the surrounding areas. Then it only started to like grow around 2009 or 2010, and then now it's like we can't really gather as a community anymore in all other towns because we're so big. Morden alone, like we had our first Christmas party last year, we had like 200 or so families just in Morden. But that's how I decided, I guess, to really reach out and see who else is here. How many Filipinos are in this area, and yeah, and then now we've grown exponentially. So
Hmm.
yeah.
What do you think attributes all these Filipino families wanting to move to the Pembina Valley?
It's a good question because I wondered before too. Like I like that this area has a very diverse, like not the very diverse sectors when it comes to. It's not just specific for one job. You know, there's a lot of different businesses, whether it's agriculture or food or healthcare. So I think that's what drew the Filipinos in this area because it's very diverse. They can work with different type. They have a lot of options when it comes to working, and which is good. So it kind of attracts more families, and then there's also family oriented, like small town life appeals to us more than the city life. So I think that's part of the factor too. Plus churches and being Christians, and so I think there's a lot of good factors, I guess, that invite or attracts the Filipinos to live around this area.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, is like the local community been accepting of Filipino culture, and maybe the integration and connection comes from the similarities between that love of rural life, family orientation.
Yeah, I think yeah, you're right. I agree. It's not a very big adjustment. Like we're already adjusting to our new country, but it's not like we're all like drinking from a big fire hose and have to absorb a lot of things to integrate. I mean, it's a big help that we have local immigration centers, like regional connections. When I moved here, it wasn't that active, but recently, like 5 or years ago, 5 or a few years ago, so the regional connections and all the NGOs for immigrations are a big help for newcomers to arrive, and that help.
For those coming to Canada to start a new life, what would you recommend to help them to build that community when they're first, coming over?
Yeah, my only piece of advice to the newcomers is when they get to their new community or they start to build a new life in a new place, they just have to be involved in the community. Like I was able to adapt quickly because I got myself involved, like from gathering all the Filipinos in the area when I was just new here and helping with other Filipinos to get some summer get-togethers or once a year, whatever. That's one. But also to get more involved in the local community because that will be the only time or that will be a big way of helping them to develop their skills and talents, make new friends, meet your neighbors, I guess, or most importantly, it can give them a way to help others in return to the kindness that they will receive in the community because this community is very welcoming. They're always curious, like, oh, where are you from and how's the weather there? And I find there's a lot of like inquisitive minds when it comes to like, if you're from the Philippines, how far is that from here? How's your winter like? Which we don't have winter.
Yeah.
But because, we're still like 7,000 miles away. So not everyone was able to travel that far and see what's really like in a country where it's very tropical and there's no winter. But I would say for all the newcomers that I would strongly advise that they should be involved in the local community, whether it's just volunteering or, just be involved with other immigration related events. Yeah, so that will help them adjust quicker.
Do you still visit the Philippines?
I do, and I would love to visit this year, but I can't. I was about to because my parents are not doing well, but I try to go home once every year, if not once every 2 years. But this year, because of COVID and because I'm a Canadian citizen, I can't just like leave. So I'm hoping I will go home next year because again, my parents are getting older. Their health is not very good, and I would love to be with them as much as I could. So.
For others who move to Canada and then realize their credentials no longer apply, it can be frustrating and easy to give up. However, Jules says if that was your passion, fight for it and find out how you can still practice the same profession here. If you have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight, leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was You Talk, and have yourself a good one.